Nia Warren, Narak Deanne, Wadarangak Danuk, Kimbani Ba. Hello everybody, my name's Deanne Gilson. I'm a proud Wadarang woman and traditional custodian. I'm here today to talk about some artworks. I'm a visual artist and my art practice takes in two sides of my identity, one being an Aboriginal woman, a proud Wadarang woman, and the other my non-Aboriginal identity, my father's side. So what we're going to do today is firstly look at a work by my mum, Auntie Marlene Gilson, and this work captures pre-colonisation. So it looks at a place called Lake Wendari in Ballarat, and Mum has actually painted all of my ancestors around the lake, as you can see here. My mum's artwork here depicts the traditional practices of my ancestors. So they're actually camping, they're hunting and fishing around Lake Wendari, and you can see that they're wearing traditional adornments, so that means clothing, things like possum skin cloaks and kangaroo skins and emu feather skirts and other sorts of adornments. This artwork has a spiritual connection to country through the depiction of Bunjil the eagle. So Bunjil is part of our creation story. So we can see here the William Duke, and this was painted in 1851, and it actually captures my ancestors just here in the centre of the painting. And the interesting thing about this is it shows that throughout the colonisation process, we were still here on country, and it's just at that beginning before Geelong was fully colonised. What I've noticed in the foreground here of the painting by William Duke is some stones referencing a stone circle. Now, this may not have been his interpretation, but it certainly is mine. And I did notice that there seems to be a bit of a pattern within those stones, so I don't know if that was deliberate or just part of the picture. The next artwork I'd like to talk about is the Eugene von Gerhard, The Aborigines on the Road to the Diggings, 1854. The reason why I'm looking at this painting is because it seems to follow on from the William Duke, and what it does is it actually again captures my ancestors on the road from Geelong to Ballarat going to the goldfields. Eugene von Gerhard was really good at capturing our traditional adornments, like the possum skin cloak I'm wearing here. And what I really like about his painting is he's looked at our culture, and he's also, in his diaries, captured our traditional marks of ochre on our faces and bodies and our ceremonial aspects, and more the spiritual side of our culture too, which is interesting from a non-Aboriginal perspective. He also talks about in his diaries the birds, the native birds, and the plants and everything else on country, and what was happening and how beautiful country was. The next artwork I want to reference is a Thomas Washburn photograph. And I found this one interesting because it shows what was happening after the initial encounters of colonisation. What you can see in the photograph is the picket fences going up, the boundaries. So the settlement, as people were acquiring land, my people were moved off country or they died of diseases, and a lot of things were happening with my ancestors throughout that period, and country was no longer free. It was no longer their country. Throughout this period, a lot of my family, my ancestors, were moved on, and they went to places like Corranderk, the Aboriginal Mission, and Framlingham. Through my own art practice and my mum's art practice, we're testimony of survival, of telling our stories, retelling our stories, especially the oral stories passed down to me. I'd like to finish today with showing you one of my own artworks of our creation story. And in this artwork, it shows Bunjil the eagle creating the first man and woman out of clay from the earth. And it also shows the creation birds. And von Gerhard, he referenced those in his diary as well. Although the artworks I've talked about today, the Western and European artworks, seem so removed from myself and my culture, they're very important because through these images I've been able to get almost photographs of my ancestors and use those images within my own practice today. And in particular, I use ochre, and that's a traditional medium. And what that does is that also draws me back pre-colonisation to a time where my mum's painted our family. And through looking at William Duke and von Gerhard, I get a sense of traditional marks and what we were wearing and everything that was going on, so that I feel more connected actually through the Western artworks as well to help me move forward in my contemporary art practice.